In just a few days, the Washington Nationals have got some big roster decisions to make as the roster expands from 26 to 28. And I've got two guys that the Washington Nationals should absolutely call up to make their debut.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And yes, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as our show page at LO_Nationals for all your latest Nationals news and notes. And later on in today's show, we have got an unfortunate discussion here today as Drew Millas has likely ended the season for himself as he was hit with a catcher's interference yesterday, fractured his finger, and just awful timing as he was about to take off. So the Nationals did make a corresponding roster move, though, and it's a little interesting. We'll discuss that later on in the show today. But in the second segment, and really the first segment, I'm going to give you the two players that will be added to this Nationals roster come September 1st when those rosters expand. Before I give you those, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So the number one guy that I want to see the Nationals call up, and the one that I think that they will call up, is first baseman / DH Yohandy Morales. And Yo-Yo Morales being the second round pick back in 2023 alongside Dylan Cruz, this move makes sense. This is the move that you kind of look at. We've all been eyeing since really the past few months here, since he was raised up in the AAA Rochester. But this is the move that makes the most sense for many different reasons at this point. My number one reason is this, though. We do not have a future over at first base. You do not have anyone on this roster, on this current roster today, that you can say, you know what, that's going to be our future first baseman. You don't have anyone on this major league roster right now today that you could even say he might be the future of at first base. With all due respect to Josh Bell, I love him. His services have been good this season, but I'm good on that in the future. Andres Chaparro, I like his bat off the bench, but he's not really the first baseman of the future for me. Yohandy Morales, I'm not going to say that he is going to be the guy for the Nationals moving forward, but I am also not closing the door on this. And Yo-Yo Morales right now has quietly been the hot hand for the Nationals in AAA Rochester right now. He is on a 9-game hit streak as we sit here today. And by the way, in those 9 games, 6 of those games have been multi-hit games. And also in that time, in this 9-game stretch, 4 doubles and 2 home runs. The Washington Nationals, at least under Mike Rizzo, have always been the team to call up guys when they're on their hot streak. They have called up guys from AA to make their major league debut. And if they're hot, with Juan Soto back in 2018. The Nationals have done things like this before. And so Yo-Yo Morales, to me, is the obvious answer. Because again, going back to the future of this team, we don't know what's going to happen over at first base. We simply do not know. And if you were to look in the system today, the one guy that might be your answer over at first base, at least for the near future, would be Yo-Yo Morales. And this is not someone who is just September call-up who will be a AAA player for the rest of his life. No, this is a real legit prospect. That may not reflect on the prospect rankings nowadays, but I've never given up on Yohandy Morales. And in fact, I still love his upside and what he could bring to the table. I think Yo-Yo Morales is a very raw prospect who, in my opinion, was with another organization out there. Like, again, I use the Dodgers as an example, or other organizations out there. His tools are pretty elite. And I think we're starting to see kind of these things pieced together and making a really good ball player for the Nationals at this point. Looking at where he stands, though, within this organization, you really have no one blocking him at the major league level. Again, it's Josh Bell and Andres Chaparro. And even then, you could make the case today on August 28th for me to option Andres Chaparro and bring up Yohandy Morales. There's a lot of different things that go into this. My number one reason is, again, I still think that he has a chance to be the first baseman of the future. I'm not saying he will be, but I think he does have at least a shooter's chance at this point. Secondary, I think he's a really good hitter. I think this is a professional hitter. Now, the big question is going to be, what is he defensively? I've heard through many different people who have watched him, who have coached him, and a lot of people say that he is actually a lot better defensively than what it may look. And again, making that adjustment from third base to where he played at the University of Miami and started early on with the Nationals, going over to first base, it's a really tough transition. But he has actually made it look pretty smooth and has worked on his glove skills, his scooping ability, and also his overall fielding ability and the ground that he covers there. He has been really impressive so far. Looking at his bat, though, that is what will be the difference maker for the Nationals. That is why you are going to call up Yo-Yo Morales at this point. It's not because of what he does defensively. It's what he does offensively. And we've talked about this all season long at this point. What am I going to say, everydayers? You already know it. We need a right-handed power bat in this lineup today. We've talked about it with Brady House. He's 22 years old. He's young. He's raw. It's not working at this point in time. But he has been better. And again, if you missed that show, check out yesterday's podcast on a little breakdown of Brady House. But Yo-Yo Morales, in my opinion, is a little bit more ready. He's older. He's kind of more adjusted to the game at this point. And also, he's playing really good baseball right now down in Rochester. This would make the most sense. And if he does get consistent at-bats in September and looks really good, then he's going to have a real good chance at being your opening day first baseman. Unless they shock everyone and sign a first baseman this offseason, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's realistic at this point. I think what's more realistic is Yohandy Morales comes up in September. He makes a difference. He makes a pretty big impact. He shows that to Mike DeBartolo in the front office or someone else who could be coming in, and they say, well, we're just going to at least give you an opportunity in 2026 because that's what that season's going to be about. Yet again, seeing him in September with the Nationals at this point, with James Wood healthy, Dylan Cruz healthy, and all the other guys that helped get this Nationals team up and started, that would be a big deal for me. I want to see what he can do because I do believe in the talent that he has. I believe in the power that he displays at times. I believe in the ability that he could hit for average potentially as well. But I need to see it up in the major league level. And with the rosters expanding, I think this would be the absolute best chance that the Nationals have got to really set their eyes on what he could be. He is an exciting, intriguing prospect. And it's really up to the Nationals and their development at this point. Can they see the future with Yohandy Morales? Can they see what we see with Yo-Yo Morales? That's going to be the big question. Because I love the prospect that is Yohandy Morales, Yo-Yo Morales, whatever you want to call him. But this guy is really good. And again, the talent that he has and the upside that he brings, I think is exciting for anyone out there, anyone trying to get a glimpse of the future of what Yo-Yo could bring. So again, if I'm Mike DeBartolo and it's September 1st, I'm calling down manager Matt LaCroix and saying, hey, sorry, man, we're going to take your first baseman, and he's going to be a Washington National. That's the first move that I would make today. There's a couple of other names that might be in the mix for the Washington Nationals as well, but I've got a pitcher pinpointed for the Washington Nationals, and this guy, we don't talk about him much, but you certainly know the name. We'll talk about that after this. Hey Nats fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind and get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up, and you can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas that you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it is totally legit, and real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. So don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code SEASON for a limited 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON, and offers vary by user and location. So go to upside.com for terms and conditions. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And again, look us up. Locked On Nationals, YouTube. Hit that subscriber button for the video version. You can see our beautiful studio here in Arlington, Virginia. You will not want to miss that view, because again, I got some bobbleheads up there. I got a lamp, some cool things behind me that you will not want to miss. So check out our YouTube. And also, the Nationals have made a roster move. Let's get back into baseball here. But before we jump into the Washington Nationals and some roster moves later on in the show, we do have to talk about the second call-up for the Washington Nationals that I think will be really interesting for you guys. But before that, again, we have an important request for Locked On Nationals listeners. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. And again, $100 Amazon gift card, not too shabby. So take advantage of that and let us know what you think of Locked On Nationals and the rest of the Locked On National or Locked On Podcast Network podcast. So now let's jump into the second move. What I would like to see from the Washington Nationals. The second move I would like to see is left-handed pitcher Andrew Alvarez. You guys may have heard this name already before, but if you have not, let me remind you. Andrew Alvarez was a 2021 12th round pick out of Cal Poly. He was actually the Nationals' 2023 Organizational Pitcher of the Year down in Fredericksburg, and I believe he started in Fredericksburg and then moved his way up to High A Wilmington. But he has quietly again put together a really good season for the Rochester Red Wings. And this is not going to be someone to come up and even have like a Mitchell Parker kind of effect. He has been a starter, and he has been a solid one at times for the Red Wings this season. And over, again, his most recent stretch here, he has been probably the best pitcher in Rochester at this point. Over his last 5 starts, he has generated 24 1/3 innings pitched, 15 hits in that time, 32 strikeouts, 14 walks, which is a little high, and a 1.192 whip with a 2.96 ERA. Listen, Andrew Alvarez is not the sexy pick here. The sexy pick is Yohandy Morales, who we just talked about. But Andrew Alvarez, for whatever reason, continues to put up really good numbers. But with those really good numbers, doesn't come with like the shine that a lot of decent, solid prospects should be getting. And the reason why that is, well, there's a couple different reasons. Number one, the stuff is good, but there's really nothing special. Like, again, with DJ Hers, I think back to this. Lefty Nationals got, obviously, we saw him last year. Can't wait to get him back in the rotation in 2026 and beyond. But DJ Hers, while he never really put up insane numbers. His stuff was really good in AAA and in AA. In fact, he had one of the best changeups in the minor leagues. That was kind of what stuck out with him. I think back to even Mitchell Parker had a really good curveball that was really kind of special down in the minors and led the Nationals in strikeouts one season down in the minors. That's kind of what stuck out with him. But Andrew Alvarez has just kind of quietly done his thing, generated a lot of swings and misses down in the minors, and doesn't really have anything that's too special out there that Major League Baseball hasn't seen yet. Andrew Alvarez would be my pick for a pitcher at this point. And I would probably pass on other guys who might be more deserving, but at this point in time, the intriguing kind of option of Andrew Alvarez coming out of the bullpen as a lefty, that kind of gets me here. We've talked about Brad Lord in the special season that he's had, being an 18th, 19th round pick at a USF, whatever it was. Andrew Alvarez is kind of along those lines for me, except one different thing. I think Alvarez is not going to be Brad Lord. I think the perfect situation for Andrew Alvarez is to have him come out of the bullpen and simply eat up a couple of innings. And he might be good at that. But at this point in time, this would be my selection. Again, it is not the sexy pick by any means necessarily. And again, it's also a little confusing because right now he's not on the Nationals 40-man roster. So with that in mind, the Nationals would have to move off someone to make move on the 40-man roster. And I think that would be a big question that we're going to tackle here in just a few moments. But as we sit here today, this would be my pick. Again, not the sexiest one. This is not Marquise Grissom Jr., who has a really good changeup for the Nationals. This is not someone who's going to come in and make a big-time impact for this team. But if I'm the Nationals again, this just makes sense. This move would absolutely make sense for me. So if the Nationals were to call him up and they were to make room on the 40-man roster, they'd have to make room. And they'd have to move off someone to, again, make room on that 40-man roster. The Nationals have a lot of pitchers that, we've all kind of recognized at this point, and a lot of different people have had many different things to say, including another guy, Julian Fernandez, who the Nationals claimed off waivers by the LA Dodgers a few weeks ago. You've got guys like Cole Henry, who's been really good, and you're not going to move off of him. You've got Andrew Lara, who we have seen, who has really struggled out of the bullpen for the Nationals. And you've got a couple other guys like a Ryan Ludis, who would probably be my pick to move off of for Andrew Alvarez. And I'd be fine with that. Again, you could probably get Ludis back for the Nationals in, I don't know, he's probably not going to get claimed off waivers if we're just being honest here. Maybe he does, but again, if you lose him at this point, it's not going to be the end of the world. I think the more intriguing option would be Andrew Alvarez. And again, if I'm Mike DeBartolo, I would make this move come September 1st. I think that he's got the numbers, number one, but also number two, again, this guy has had success at every single level. At some point in time, he's going to have to get some recognition for this because he has been good. And looking back at 2022, where that was by far and away his toughest season yet, but looking back the last 3 years, he has put together some really, really good numbers across multiple different levels at this point in time. So again, if I'm Mike DeBartolo, I'm making this move like today. And that would be a really cool thing to see, in my opinion, to see Andrew Alvarez come up and make his major league debut. Speaking of someone making their major league debut, the Washington Nationals are going to have a catcher make their MLB debut, maybe here potentially, if Riley Adams gets a break. But let me tell you about what happened with Drew Millas and what will happen with the Nationals roster decision that they made after yesterday's game. We'll talk about that after this. There is nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, but actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees, it takes all the fun out of it. And that is why I use Gametime, because that app gives you the advantage back to fans. And Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by a Gametime guarantee that you'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. The app is simply the best. Number one, it's easy to use. And number two, it's quick. The other day, I was walking up to Nationals Park, quite literally 3 blocks away from the stadium. I opened up the Gametime app. I got to see my images of what I will actually be, where I'll be sitting, number one, but also the views from my seat. That is all on your phone. And again, I discovered that all up within just a few blocks. I bought the tickets with no extra fees. And again, I had tickets in my hand or on my phone walking into Nationals Park, and there's nothing better than that feeling. So download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. Again, download the Gametime app and use our code LOCKEDONMLB. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen. And yesterday, yes, unfortunately, the hot hitter, the hot hand in town, Drew Millas, fractured his finger on a catcher's interference call. I mean, we all knew that it was not great, and it's just bad. And by the way, before we kind of jump into that, how about Shino? How about Shino getting that bat just to be pulled after Drew Millas got hurt? Riley Adams, who was the DH, moved into the catcher role, and the Nationals just could not figure out what was going to happen there. And yeah, Shino really took an at-bat, and they just kind of left him out there and was not the best. But still, the Nationals have just been bitten by bad luck all season long. First, you get Drew Millas, or first you get Dylan Cruz with the oblique injury. Earlier on this season, you get DJ Hurst getting Tommy John surgery. You've had Travis Sikora get Tommy John surgery. You've had Tyler Stewart get Tommy John surgery. Listen, it's never fun. It's never fun. We understand that at this point. We cannot have good things with the Nationals. And it finally felt like the Nationals were having a good thing with Drew Millas here in town. Because what he has done through his first 18 games this season offensively has been really impressive. Having an 807 OPS, you start to see him slug a little bit, 5 doubles over his first 49 at-bats this season. Also had a home run, or not a home run mixed in there. I'm sorry, he had a triple that probably should have been a home run, but this is just one of those awful news situations because, again, we talked about it earlier on this summer with Keibert Ruiz and his struggles. We wanted to see Drew Millas. We know Ruiz is not the future. And as much as I do, I'm back and forth on Riley Adams. I think I know what he is. He's a backup catcher at best. I kind of feel the same way about Drew Millas. But even then, the door is not completely closed on what Millas could be moving forward. And it finally felt as if the Nationals were like, hey, man, this is going to be your time to shine moving forward. We saw him in 20 games last year. The year before that, we saw him over 11 games. And in both times, had some impressive stints here with the Nats. But hasn't really been given a full opportunity to kind of run with this job. And now finally felt like that time for him. And now he breaks his finger in New York. Just awful timing for Drew Millas, more importantly, but for the Washington Nationals and also the fans. Because again, this guy is really talented, and we've seen it over the years. He has put up some really good numbers offensively and is also your best defensive catcher in the national system by far and away. And that's not some ringing endorsement, by the way. He has some issues defensively as well. But he is, again, by far your best defender at the catcher position. So now the Nationals have had to make a roster move, obviously. He'll be moved to the IL, and his season is likely over. The Nationals have called up catcher CJ Stubbs. Forgive my ignorance here. I have never heard of CJ Stubbs. You might be looking for a breakdown. I'm not even going to lie to you. As the Nationals have been gutted at the catcher position, this season, I'm not going to sit here and be like, of course I know CJ Stubbs. Of course I do. Never heard of him. He's played in 66 games across multiple different levels. He was DFA'd by the Houston Astros, has yet to make his major league debut yet, but this is kind of one of those things where, sure, I guess, why not? Let's give him a shot. Other than that, it would have been Francisco Mejia, who is like 29 years old and is kind of a lifer down in the minor leagues. Instead, we get a 28-year-old CJ Stubbs, who is a 10th round pick by the Houston Astros. Didn't really do much with Houston over the years. Had some solid years at USC, by the way. Again, being a 10th round pick after only 1 year being a full-time starter for them, was actually considered to be a solid prospect back in the day. But he just has not gotten the job done across Houston and as well as the Washington Nationals. So I will see if he plays. I assume he will. If I'm the Nationals, I am calling any free agent catcher out there. I'm not even joking. I'd call Yan Gomes today and just be like, listen, man, we need something. We need something at the catcher position. But CJ Stubbs being a backup catcher for this Nationals team, I guess that'll work. But the second that anyone is free on waivers, or someone gets DFA'd, or maybe you want to sign someone who is just on the streets at this point, let's do that. I like CJ Stubbs, or again, I'm not going to say that. I don't know. I don't know where to go. I do not know where to go with CJ Stubbs at this point. I can tell you this much, though. I'd be kind of shocked if he actually plays with the Nationals. I think this is kind of one of those we have to call up someone moves, and someone has to be the backup catcher for this team. Keibert Ruiz is not ready at this point. Who knows if he'll be ready for the rest of the season? We don't know at this point. But with CJ Stubbs, something I do know, he's not going to be the guy for this team moving forward. So we'll see what the Nationals decide to do. Maybe they get crazy and call up Caleb Lomavita, who recently got shipped up to AA Harrisburg. I could see that potentially if he's hitting the baseball pretty well here soon, because the Nationals need to figure out something there at the backup catcher. CJ Stubbs, in my opinion, just simply will not cut it, but it's ultimately really difficult with Drew Millas at this point. Just an awful thing to happen to him. Again, it felt like he was getting things right. He felt like he was finally clicking. And with only a month left in the season, you wanted to see him finish strong. And that has been taken away from him, but also us as Nationals fans. So thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.